How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So you guys really responded to the whole buy, sell, hold thing, and in doing my weekly haul, so I figured I'd just keep it going. Add a part of like the rotation of things I do for weekly hauls. So let's just jump right into it. First, we got up XMen 221. It's the first appearance of Sinister. Move that forward. There's been speculation for the longest time that Mr. Sinister is going to show up in an X-Men movie. I think it was hinted at in, I forget which X-Men movie it was. What was the one where they went back to the Days of Future Past, I think, where they hinted at it in there in a scene, or maybe it's a deleted scene. I can't really remember. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. But anyways, it was hinted at that, and they're like, oh, it's Mr. Sinister. He's going to show up in the next one. And then the next one was The Dark Phoenix, or whatever it was called. I never even actually watched that one. And yeah, so it didn't happen. So, I mean, there's always been speculation. But to me, this is a buy just because it's going up in value. I think it will happen, but also tentatively buy because the whole market as a whole, comic, is massively going up. So a lot of books are just going up for almost seemingly no reason. And then people are so on the speculative bandwagon that they'll jump on anything. It's like the tiniest little rumor about something is like, oh, gotta buy. But I think Mr. Sinister is a more logical rumor choice just because he hasn't been in a comic book movie yet. And I think is bound to be. When that is, I don't know. But I think this is a buy for me. Next, we have X-Men 58, first appearance of Havoc. I always like this cover. It was done by Neil Adams. But this, to me, is also a buy. Havoc is a pretty popular character in the X-Men franchise. He's Cyclops' brother. His name's Alex Summers. I always liked how Stan Lee always put two of the same letters together, like Scott Summers, Peter Parker, Bruce Banner. It's always kind of cool. I try to do the same things in some of my shows. But anyways, yeah. So Havoc's very popular. This continues to grow. I think of the X-Men comics or in the Silver Age, this is a more higher end key, and so that's why I see it growing and continuing. So to me, it's a buy. We got Hulk 340. This is definitely a buy. And the reason why is it's Wolverine. And I've said before, there's different tiers of someone that wants to collect. So if you want to collect Wolverine because you love Wolverine, well, the highest tier you can go is a Hulk 181, right? That's first appearance. And a lot of people can't afford that. So you go to the next tier. Next tier might be your Hulk 180 or 182. That's still out of people's price range. So then you go to the next tier below. The next tier below, you're going to look at your Hulk 340. You're also going to look at Wolverine Limited Series #1 and things like that. So this is for someone who really wants an early appearance of Wolverine. Also, it ties in with the Hulk, which is also the same thing, and because he appeared in Hulk 181. So this book has been climbing in value, and it's also a great cover. It's been cover swiped, where another artist kind of copies this cover so many times. It's by Todd McFarlane, another good reason. So yeah, this one's a buy for me. We have Crack Comics #2. Now, I know this is not as flashy as some of the other more modern Bronze Age books that are super hyped up right now. And really, Crack Comics 2 is not anything particularly great. The reason why I'm putting it up there is because I want to talk more about Golden Age as a whole and maybe the more non-minor keys of Golden Age. So this is what that kind of represents. Is Golden Age, there's a lot less of them, but you kind of have to find that right collector that wants them. And I think as people start collecting and they get more advanced into their, let's say, collecting career, they'll start picking apart at the old Golden Age. And we saw a boom in Golden Age probably maybe about a year ago, might have been a really boom because people were like, oh, I really want these weird looking books. Because some of these books are like really cool looking, especially like the EC horror stuff. And so I saw a real boom where they're doubling, tripling in price, these old horror and things like that. And I think Golden Age, every once in a while, we'll see that little boom of like new collectors getting in the market, and then they mature a little bit and they're collecting, and they get a bunch of stuff, and then they want the more obscure stuff and the more harder to find and less available stuff, and so they dabble in like Golden Age, and because it looks different than current comics. So to me though, it's for Golden Age stuff, it's not so much a buy, it's more of a hold. So I wouldn't, like, you don't have to go out and get it right away because it's more stable. But the thing is, like, when you try to sell this, you have to find that right person that wants it. So they sit a lot longer if you're trying to sell it. All right. Special Marvel Edition 15. First appearance of Shang-Chi. Movie's coming out. Super popular. And I would love to say buy, but at the same time, I really can't. I think it's more of a hold. Usually when the first, like, there's still time to buy and still make money on it. I'm not saying that today is the day that it drops, the floor drops. No, what I'm saying is it really depends on the movie. Usually the way the comics value is based off of hype. And as the hype dies, the comic price goes down. And then what's left is just the normal collectors that normally want it. You get a few new collectors, so it still has, the floor still rises up a little bit. But with this one, the trailer dropped. It looks good. I think it looks amazing. Who knows how the movie's going to do? I don't know. But it's kind of a gamble, right? And the way I look at things is like a risk reward. So to me, I see these. I have a bunch already going to CGC that I bought a while ago. They're there for who knows how long. So I'm going to get a bunch back in. And that's kind of the thing, is when this movie comes out later this year. So if you buy this book now and then you send it to CGC and say you do one of, like, depending on the tier, like, you have to send it in, it could take many, 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 many days, months. You're looking at months to get this book back. So in that time, the risk of it going down, not that much. But let's say you buy it and then you send it in and the movie has come out by the time you get it back, and the movie maybe isn't that great or it doesn't resonate with people, and then the hype drops. Well, now you're left with a book. You're still waiting to come back from CGC. The hype's already dropped. And when it drops, it doesn't drop slowly. It drops fast. It takes a long time to get up there, but then when it drops, it's a very short time. So that's, for me, is kind of like, yeah, you can buy it now. I do think the hype will drop. Even if the movie's really good, I think it will still drop, and it'll drop a little bit, but not that much. And then it'll take a while to come back up when, movie 2 comes out or something. So to me, it's like kind of like a buy hold, right? Like, for me, I'm not buying as many as I normally would. Like, it's still going to go up, yes. But I think the crazy jumps has already happened, so it's going to be a slight incline. And my whole thing is it's getting riskier as the movie gets closer, because if the hype drops and the movie's not good, your price drops. Invincible, number 1. To me, this is a hold. I'm actually buying them and actually holding them back, because I think the first season was really good. Everyone I talked to loved the first season. They're coming out. They've already greenlit season 2 and 3. They're talking about a movie as well. And once the movie actually, because of the series was so good, the movie was much more likely to happen. And I think once the movie happens or starts seeing stuff, it's going to spike even higher, because, yeah, as the animated TV show came out, that only appeals to so many people, right? But once a movie hits, that appeals to like everyone, and everyone will have heard of it. And if the movie's good, it's going to be great. But so for me, I'm actually buying and holding these back, because I think it'll drop a little bit now that the series is over and the hype's kind of dying on it. It'll hype back up when season 2 and 3 come around, but it's going to drop a little bit. So I think now is like the perfect time to, like, if you have them, hold them and just like weather the storm. I mean, you could buy them, but I think it's still going to be dropping. Like, in the days to come, it's going to be dropping. So maybe wait a bit before you buy one if you want to hold it for long term. But yeah. Ghost Rider, #1. First appearance of Damien Hellstorm, or first full appearance or something like that. This book was going up really high, just like all the other books. But the show came out because there's a show about it. It wasn't really about the character so much in the comics, so a little different rendition of him. But the show I don't think was very good. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, or I don't even know if it's renewed for more seasons. But the price has been going down. I've been looking at it, and the price has been dropping a little bit. And I've noticed that over a few books. So to me, this is a sell. I think if you have it, you should. When I say sell, and I clearly have one right here that I just got in this week, I come at it from a different angle. I'm a dealer. So I buy them to sell them. So my turnaround is pretty quick, right? I get them in, maybe send them to CGC or whatever I do with them, however I sell them. And my turnaround is quick. So even if it's going down, as long as I can get it low enough to when I get it back and sell it and I still make a profit, even if it's going down and I still make a little bit of profit, I'm still making a profit. So that's the way I look at it. When I tell you guys to sell, I'm talking from a different perspective. I'm talking from, if you love the book, don't sell it, keep it. But if you are like, well, I don't really care about the book and I kind of want to make the money so I can buy something else that I want or a better book, then yeah, what I'm saying to sell is like now is a good time to sell, as in the dollar amount is high, but it's going to start dropping. So if you are thinking of selling it, now would be a good time to sell it, right? But if you want it and you want to keep it because you like it in your collection, then keep it. And over time, in 5-10 years, whatever it's going to be, this book will be worth more than its peak today, right? So, but if you're in the mindset of selling it and because you want to get close to the top dollar, now's the time to sell it. Before I move on to the couple of last books I have, if you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing. It would really help this channel out. If you are subscribed, thank you, and feel free to leave a comment or like this video. All right. Werewolf by Night 32. First appearance of Moon Knight. There's a TV show coming out. I want to say Oscar Isaacs is the actor playing Moon Knight, I think. I don't know. I read it a while ago. I could be mistaken. But anyways, I believe it's a TV show coming out. I hope they put it on Hulu and make it rated like R PG-13 and not on Disney Plus because that's more, I don't know. We'll see. I hope it's a little more mature content than Disney Plus. But yeah, so the TV show is coming out. It's just climbing in value. It's so crazy. Every time I look at it, it's like, I'm like, oh man, I paid this much for this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, probably going to lose money. And then I look at like the most recent sales and it's like, oh, okay, wow, geez. Like just so expensive. But to me, it's still a buy. I still think there's room for it to go up. Turtles Adventures #1. To me, this is a sell. I have a bunch of copies for sale. They're not moving very fast anymore. It's just, like I said before, there's tiers, right? You got your top tier Turtles. That's Turtles #1, first print. Maybe your second tiers or second printing, third printing, stuff like that. And it goes on from down there. This is a lower end tier if you're trying to collect, high keys of Turtles. And I just see Turtles getting hit on the lower tiers. I see them still going up in the upper tiers though. So who knows, really? Maybe this, like, the lower end tiers of comics are just, there's not enough people trying to buy them. The supply and demand, so there's not enough demand and there's too much to supply. So this one is a sell for me. All right, final one, Raphael #1. I think this actually, it's first appearance of Casey Jones, but I think the published date on this is somewhere around like Turtles number 3 or 4, or maybe between 4 and 5, I think somewhere around there. So it's an early appearance of the Turtles. It's the first time they did their solo, each had a one-shot solo comic book. To me, this is a big sell. Now you see, I still have them, and I still have many more. But like I said, if I can still make money on them, I'm still making money on them. But I've seen, and if you've seen my other weekly hauls, and I get this in, I always tell people, I'm like, it's kind of not doing very well anymore. It had a huge spike up, but now it went flat. Like I've always said, you get the curve and then you get to the flat, but now it's coming down. How much it will come down, I don't know. Recently these sales have been dropping by like almost 20% from their previous sales. So like from May to April, it's about a 20% difference, maybe even 30% on really high sales. But yeah, it's I have like 16 copies currently up for sale. I think 16 or something like that. And I used to get them in, and I used to sell almost just as many as I got in. So maybe I'd sell 3 in a week and then put up like 2 or 4 or something like that. But I was always in. But now they're just like sitting. They're not selling. So now every time I'm getting more in, I'm just adding more to that. And I recently just dropped all the prices on my Raphael number 1. So if you want one, they're cheaper. I just dropped them all by like 10 to 15%, just because they need to move. I have too many of them, and it's supply and demand, and there's just a lot of supply up there. So yeah, to me, this is definitely a sell. If you're in the market of trying to get rid of it, now's a good time to put it up and move it or whatever you need to do, because the prices are dropping, and I don't want to get left holding 15 copies and then somehow they drop by 50%. Because like I said, it drops very quick when it drops. I'm not saying go out and panic and just get rid of everything, but I have noticed some pullback on some comics. Not everything keeps on going up, which is good, right? You don't want to be tripling your money every 3 months on a comic book. That is not sustainable. What I hope happens is you have this huge boom. Maybe it flatlines for a little bit. Maybe it comes down by 20 or 30%. Not a big deal, right? But then it just goes back to normal steady growth, because that's kind of like what you want. You can't expect these massive gains forever. It just doesn't happen, right? There's going to be, and if they keep on going like this, there'll be a massive pullback. So I'm just hoping it goes up, flatlines, and this comes down a little bit, and then has maybe flatlines again, and then slowly this goes up. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, for me, this is a sell. I hope you guys like this stuff. I got a lot of response saying that people did like this stuff. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind and do more of them. All right. Thanks.